Okay. There's a likelihood that I might knock that over, so I need to move over a little tiny bit.
Yeah, that's fine. Hey, Claudia, could you turn off the fans? All right, open up the chakra books and the chakra page to page 20, and let's take a look at this table again. So we covered the root chakra, the Muladhara, and what's the basis of this chakra? What's the idea of it?
Body alive, survival, grounded.
Keep the body alive, definitely. The physical body staying alive, right? Survival. Okay, what's the second chakra?
Sex.
Sex, Shelley, sex. But there's an exchange too. The second chakra, there has to be some kind of negotiation, because there does appear to be this male-female programming going on, and both sexes seem to want something that requires the other, so it kind of forces a relationship. Then when you get into a relationship, there's feelings, there's flow, there's change. So this is a watery chakra. This is feelings and emotions and flow. So some people even teach that money is kind of a second chakra flow, because money flows, and it's made to flow, and it's money. There's always a relationship to money. I have a job here. I'm teaching you guys yoga. I get money. There's a relationship going on right here with that. Money also can be very emotional, because it can touch on survival. That's why it's emotional. Doesn't money have to do with survival? So you'll feel scared if you don't have money, if you're fearful. So it's a second chakra, first chakra kind of thing going on. All right, now we come up to the third chakra in the solar plexus here. This is yellow, fire, the mental body. This is the fire in the belly, so to speak. The exercises are abdominal exercises, lower back exercises, digestive system, nervous system, stomach. The pancreas, you can put an S on the end of that. That should say pancreas. The mantra is Ram. The lotus petal is 10. I'll show you pictures of that, and that'll make a little bit more sense. And the exercises are abs, like Navasana, leg lifts, your waistline, your psoas. That should say Uddiyana Bandha instead of Vidyana Bandha. That's a U instead of a V right there. And so the effects of this are trust in the upper and lower chakras, gut instinct, willpower, projection, manifestation into the physical world, working, a will to live, centering, connecting the upper and lower, balancing the mental, the material, the spiritual, and the feeling body. So this one starts to transition the stuff that's happening in the first two chakras to the upper chakras. If you're going to lose weight, say you decide, I need to lose 25 pounds. You're going to need willpower. So that's going to come from the third chakra. So that's why it's very effective in yoga to start to do abdominal crunches, because not only does it make your stomach muscles, it gives you more awareness down there of shrinking your stomach waistline down, but it builds your third chakra as well. So you have willpower. Has anybody ever experienced that, where you lose weight and you kind of feel like, okay, I'm doing something good here? Never? Skinny all of your lives? Me, I've not been skinny all my whole life. I've experienced weight loss, and I felt like, this is good. This is very good for me. I was not, slender my whole life. I've always battled with food. So for me, I feel that, like, the skinnier I get here with yoga exercises, that motivates me to eat better. It's kind of a motivator. And then the opposite is also true. Have you ever been on a roll where you're, eating a pint of Ben & Jerry's every single night, and you just feel like a blob right here? You're like, I got nothing here, nothing. But you're hooked on the ice cream. It's addictive, and you just feel like, this is bad, but I can't stop. You gotta enact the fire in the belly, and we do that. This is where we do it. The best thing for that person to do is just drag their butt into a yoga class, do the best that they can the first day, try to go back the next day, do the best that they can, just start to turn it around. Have you experienced that, turning stuff around like that in your life? You get a lot of chances, don't you? Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And people who have addiction, you know, you get chances. If you blow it, you get another chance to quit, and you know, stuff like that. So,
It's willpower overall.
it's willpower over.
Like over, let's say if you want to quit something,
Mhm.
or if you want to achieve something.
Yeah, yes. If you want to manifest something in this world, it's said to come from there, so to speak. I guess you could also say it comes from your mind. You have to have the thought, I want to do this first. But this is how you take it into the belly, and the fire in the belly, and the motivation to do that, to see it through and to stick with it. And it comes from your guts. You have to have guts, and courage comes from there, so to speak.
But it's also directly aligned with mental.
I would say so
this
too.
Chakra.
You've made a decision to do this. So now you're going to enact the third chakra, build the third chakra in order to help you see it through. But it's mental too.
And it's interesting because this is like your intuitive chakra. Like if you balance it out, supposedly like you have like better intuition and stuff. And I was like reading a research article about how your gut is directly aligned with like some part of your brain that gives you those like psychic, like intuitive feelings and everything. So it kind of makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and also remember, in your nervous system, like your whole, this area of your body is heated, first of all, because it's digestive and it's hot. This is like your warmth area, more so than your hand, your fingers out there, right? This is warmer in there. And there's a bunch of nerve endings. There's said to be 72,000 nerve endings, so it's real visceral. You know that word visceral? It means you feel it in your guts. You feel it, so it's visceral. It's like warm and kind of, I guess you could say emotional, but you just, not emotional like outward emotions, just like a gut feeling of emotions.
There's this book called Gut Brain, and I can't remember the author, but that he basically argues that like you have a gut brain, and like your intuition and your feeling comes first from there, and then the thought follows afterwards, and really like the true like space that you're thinking from and things are coming from are your gut.
Yeah, I believe some of that. There's an intelligence in the body which I believe is programmed, but you can do experiments. Say you eat a whole pizza. You know, that's an experiment. You eat the entire thing, then see how you feel. You'll definitely have the thought, I don't want to do that again. Pain, you know. You'll definitely have that thought. So that intelligence is there. Then say you make some good food choices and you eat a salad and drink a green juice or something like that. And then you go to practice yoga and you see that connection like, wow, I ate lightly and then I did yoga and I felt great. So yeah, I think there's a definite...
But I also think like your emotions can come from there, because sometimes when I get really nervous or I'm walking into a situation where like maybe mentally I don't know it's probably a bad situation, like I start to feel it first, like
in your gut.
And like I get like I have to go to the bathroom, or like something starts happening where like, my body is first telling
Or
me.
like every time I move, I like contemplate it for like a month after. It's like, my God.
Yeah, you got to hold on to
lot
your
of
stuff for a
things,
while.
Like, yeah. I know it's like pretty personal.
So the third chakra is very important in martial arts. In martial arts, like Bruce Lee and all those, they work on this area. And there's like Qigong masters who have such incredible projection of energy from there that you can't even walk 6 feet up to them. You can't get close to them if they don't want you to. They can just bounce you away with this, invisibly. You know, that's how strong they get with that. You just can't approach them. So that's pretty crazy. And that's what they want. If you're super strong here, that's how they do all that. You know, like those movies where you see them running up bamboo shoots and all that. They're basically just saying their Uddiyana Bandha is just able to lift them up. They just can go up from there by the power of their third chakra. It's extremely important in martial arts, the third chakra.
It's like a superpower.
It's like a superpower.
Like somebody goes around and they're just like.
It's like a superpower. Yeah, it is. There's stories of martial artists. They can stop a bullet with their abdominal wall. You know, it's just so strong. So when you have that, can you imagine how light you'd feel? So all that kind of running up walls and jumping up and, you know, like defying gravity, those superpowers. You can see how they can start to approach that. I'm not saying they fly or anything like that, but that comes from the Manipurna chakra. Okay, so the first three are kind of considered the human condition. Those are all concerned with survival, getting your needs met, and manifesting in this world. Now, the upper chakras from the fourth on are more spiritually oriented. And so you have the Anahata, that's the heart chakra. The color is green. The element is air because it's by your lungs. That makes sense. The body's the astral body. Heart, blood, cardiovascular system, respiratory system, rib cage, chest, lungs. I think that gland says thymus, but it should say thymus. Thymus. Thymus right here. Not the thyroid, but the thymus. Yam and the 12-petaled lotus. So the asanas are shoulder openers, arms behind the back stuff, fish pose, and all back bends are very heart opening. And the effects are love, obviously, the attributes of the heart. To give and receive love without negativity, forgiveness, acceptance, patience, gratitude, love of humanity, universal love. That's the goal. How many times, have you ever heard New Age people that you need to open the heart chakra? Mm-hmm. You know, that's their go-to phrase. Women, I think, have a little bit easier time of it. But you have breast cancer too. Breast cancer is occurring in the heart chakra area, so maybe you have a broken heart about life or some relationship or anything that breaks your heart. That's kind of like you're sad in your heart chakra, you know, and that maybe manifests. Maybe. I'm just throwing it out there. Because there's also some feeling, I don't know if you guys have heard this about breast cancer, but if you divide the breast into 4 quadrants, like if I put the quadrant that's closest to your armpit is where most of the cancerous tissue would grow. And sometimes they feel like shaving the armpits and then spraying the aerosol antiperspirant on has an effect on your nodes in that area, and that is not good for breast cancer. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
Yeah, that's why you should always have deodorant without aluminum in it, because it's aluminum that
shaving
connecting
here,
to the breast.
opening up a pathway in the body, and then you're hitting it with high amounts of aluminum, and that can add to toxicity. I don't know if you've heard that. I've heard that. I'm not saying it's true.
Yeah,
or not,
the science of breast cancer is linking aluminum to. Yeah.
Yeah. So just be aware. I'm not saying don't shave your armpits. Or don't use deodorant.
You stop using deodorant and stop smelling.
That's what my mom said too. She's like, I stopped using it for
Maybe
months
women do. Men are stinkers like crazy. They stink.
I have to.
I feel like Sarah is very like.
Hang on, wait a second. Let's. Everybody can say their piece, but let's take it one at a time so we can all talk.
I feel like Sarah is very heart chakra balance.
Yeah.
Type of thing, because they're all about bringing the shoulders back, opening the heart.
Inner body bright.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Open your heart. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's good. I will say again and again, there's not one kind of yoga that I've ever seen that's not chakra opening. They're all, and most of them are opening all the chakras. They're just wonderful. So some maybe a little bit more emphasize it externally than others, so you feel that more. But even that Ashtanga that you did yesterday and that you're going to do today, it's opening your chakras. It's opening your chakras. It is. What? Yes.
I didn't know this until yesterday, but like last week I was in a yoga class and like during like the final like meditation when we were sitting up after Shavasana, like my eyes were closed and I saw this green tunnel coming out of my heart.
That's cool.
And so I googled it and I was like, oh, you're just having like an out of body experience. But then yesterday when we opened up the page of the chakra thing, it's like the heart was green, so it like makes sense why it was green. But it was crazy. Like my eyes were closed and I still saw this tunnel and I didn't really know it was like a from the heart chakra. I thought it
Right.
was like an out-of-body experience.
That's cool.
That is
That's
Yeah.
really cool, yeah. So, when your heart is open, so to speak, how do you feel?
loving.
Breathing.
Yeah. Scared?
No.
There's no fear there, right? When the heart's really open, there's zero fear. You notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to judge it. If you're fearful, maybe get to a yoga class or do some heart opener. There's also, I don't know if you guys, have you ever heard of the technique called body talk? They do kinesiology testing of asking questions, and telepathically they get the answer, so to speak. But they also have this technique of tapping the thymus. So if you just go like this, take your fingers and just like on your sternum and breastbone, if you ever are feeling overly fearful, it's just a simple little technique that anybody can do for about 15 seconds. You just tap, tap, tap. It's a heart chakra. It's just tap, 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 tap. Like, come on, heart chakra, open up. Come on, it's nothing to fear, Like,
Is there like a certain way you should be sitting when you do this?
I think you're right. No, people do it laying down, sitting up. You just tap it, so you start to feel something there, and then that stimulates the heart chakra right there. That simple little exercise. Deep breathing. Obviously, that's one reason why. There's many physiological reasons why deep breathing is going to make you feel better. But maybe it also opens the heart chakra and makes you remember love. Love is an interesting word because we live in duality. So there's always an opposite. So in our duality, we say there's love and there's hate. They're opposites of each other. But really, in the true meaning of love, the real what love is, it's a word that's non-dual. It doesn't have an opposite. Can you grasp that? It's beautiful in that respect. So, but love is very misunderstood in our culture, isn't it? Often, like love is more a I'm getting my need. I'll help you meet your needs if you help me meet my needs. It's almost like love is misunderstood for a second chakra negotiation. Mm-hmm. Like I have as a man, I have a sexual need. So if you help me fulfill that, you have a security need. I'll help you fulfill the security need. So when that's really grooving, when both parties are happy in that moment, I call that everybody's getting their needs met. You say, I'm in love. But it might be conditional. It is conditional. You don't see that it's conditional, but it's conditional. Because unconditional love is what love really is, doesn't have any conditions that need to be required in order for it to be known. So if you say, I'm unconditionally in love with my husband, and you find out that he violated your, contract and had sex with somebody else, your love is not so unconditional. If you're truly unconditional and somebody does something, this was taught to me by a teacher named Byron Katie. Have you ever heard of Byron Katie? You can write down her website. It's called thework.com. I might have mentioned it before. It's incredible.
What is it, Byron?
Byron, just like Byron, Byron Katie, Katie. And her website's thework.com. And she teaches what it is to be unconditional. And she says, I want what you want. Like it's a true absence of ego. So, and programming out, she's like not paying attention to her programming. So if you're in a relationship and you come home and your boyfriend or husband is in a super mood, he's so happy, his chakras are all open, and you're like, why are you in a great mood? And he decides to pay attention to satya, truthfulness, instead of lying. He says, I just had incredible sex with our next door neighbor. Now, chances are that's going to hit you in the gut, your security. It's a violation of the contract, of the agreement that you guys made. It's going to punch you right in the gut, and you're going to feel hurt, and then you're going to be angry at him and say, what the fuck are you talking about? And you're going to be very, very upset and angry because it's a violation of the agreement, But the unconditionally loving person, this is what an enlightened person would go, really? Were you excited? Was it joyous for you? He's like, yes. And her, was she enjoying it too? Yes. Both of us were. That's great then. I'm so happy for you guys. That's wonderful that you guys got to experience all that joy. See how that's more loving? I mean, that's more open heart. Crazy though, right? Because the love conquers all. The love is incredible. But in order to get to that unconditional state, you got to get through a lot of strong programming in the guts and the unconscious belief systems and the lying. I mean, is satya happening all over the world? Is everybody telling the truth about everything? No, people are fucking lying. They're hiding their needs. And the men, why did that man do that? Why did he go have sex with that neighbor? He really wanted to. He felt compelled to. It wasn't something he was like, I could do it if I want to, but I don't really. He was like, I want to do it. Where did that desire come from? It came from where your desire comes from to have a monogamous relationship and to have a kid and to have security and to have monogamy. And it came from the same exact place. So how is one thing wrong and the other is right, It's really, we've got it set up. That's why divorce, 50-50, right? You get married. Do you guys want to get married? Yeah, because you're programmed. You want that monogamy and that security and that man's love. You want that, okay? What's your chances of staying married? 50-50. Half of it, it's flipping a coin. Heads, tails. Now, if you stay, right, because if you stay married, of the 50% that stay married, what percentage are really, really happy? I mean, so what? If it's 5% of the 50%, then it's 95% chance that you're either going to be married and unhappy or divorced and unhappy. And you have a 5% shot of happiness being married. It's depressing as hell. Unless you learn to transcend your programming and forgive and live in your heart and not be such a victim of your biological programming and anatomy, And that's what yoga is all about. But boy, our society will not back you up much in that. You have to seek out teachers like David Data and seek out teachers like Byron Katie who teach these unconditional tantras, and then live in them and be in them and David Data, D-E-I-D-A, David Data. Suhan.
I was talking to my ex-boss some time ago, and he goes to us about we were trying to agree on a wedding and getting married it's not compatible with with the nature of the needs of men and women.
Yeah.
It's not natural.
Yeah.
The figure of getting married of marriage is not.
I mean, I think the evidence is that that's true. Look at the evidence. Are all marriages happy? It's not the answer. So sometimes young women who come to yoga, if you say, do you want to get married? They're like, yeah, I do. I really do. And in your mind, you might be believing something that this is going to be a panacea for my happiness. This is the answer. But look at the evidence out there.
Before my husband and I got married, we went to premarital counseling, but with the man that was marrying us, he was also a psychiatrist. He's like, I'm not going to marry you until you go to at least 5 sessions. Yeah. And one of his questions to us, dead serious, was, are you planning on staying monogamous in your marriage? We were both looking at each other huh? And he's like, because lots of people are choosing not to because it actually helps you have a happier marriage. And if you're open about potentially not being monogamous, he had this whole really
the
serious
open relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, that doesn't really work either.
No.
I have a little not experience with that, but it goes against a woman's not experience with that. It goes against a woman's program. I think if a marriage. if a marriage is going to be happy, and this is my experience in my marriage of what I'm learning of being married right now. Nisha doesn't want to have an open relationship. She wants me to love her. It's basically there's a I don't think it really works. I don't think the open relationships of non-monogamous work. I think if you want that, you should just not be married. Maybe live together or just date, okay? But if you get married, I think it's up to the man to sequester, to restrain my natural impulses and stay monogamous, because it's too much to ask a woman to overcome that. It's just too much of a threat to her. You come home, and then the man, why is the man coming home? He wants to come home to a nurturing, loving wife, and in the back of her mind, she's like, I wonder if he was just having sex with somebody like 15 minutes ago. And then when you're having sex with your guy, do you want to think that he's just had sex with some other girl?
No.
That's like a horrific feeling for a woman, isn't it? So I think it's too much to ask an open relationship of a woman. If you're going to get married, I think the guy has to go, okay, that's it. That's it for me.
But I think what they were talking about is like the truthful type of open relationships, like where there's agreements and there's truth. Not like you can go out and have sex with whoever you want, whenever you want. Like, at least that's the path.
You get a hall pass.
Yeah.
You get the hall pass.
I mean, we're not doing it, but
I don't know. Yeah, no, we're not doing it either. Just because I don't think it really flies. I was part of another group one time, which was like a spiritual group led by a guy named Paul Lowe, and I don't recommend you look up his stuff. But they would have people in that community that had open relationships, and it was always just contentious. It wasn't like you go home and you're home. You know where each of you stand, and you want to feel that safety and that security and that relaxation. It was always like a truthfulness session. Like you come home and let's be truthful. What happened? And it's like, well, I hugged her, and then next thing you know, we were making out. Oh, now you have to process. Now you're back into there's never that peace, I guess you could say. So I say for a guy, if a guy is going to get married, you just have to know that that's it. And he's going to have to subjugate his programming. But you can't make the woman try and...
But a lot of the times, I think people get married for the wrong reason. It's like women have the hardwired nature to want to get married, and I think a lot of the times the guys, I think every man has potential to be married and be monogamous, but it's they have to wait until they find that right person, and it's a lot of the times they may get pressured in, or they may think this is the one, but if you really, really want to be monogamous for 50 years, it's about finding someone you can, it's finding your friend.
Yeah, you have to be compatible, you have to be friends.
A friendship on fire, compatibility, you need to have a deeper, emotional, unspoken kind of chemistry connection. And it's a lot of people.
And you both have to want the same thing. You have to want to be in it at the same time, which is rare. Timing has to be good. Timing in relationships. Yeah. Come on.
And I think it's women definitely choose a settler. They're I'm in love, but they don't necessarily know what it is. And it's guys out of fear. It's either out of fear, they think that they're running, but they're not.
They don't know themselves. They're too young and they don't know themselves. Yeah.
Or family pressure.
Yeah.
Just pressure to get married can speed up the process.
Definitely.
The guy doesn't have the chance to find that the girl that he can be monogamous with for the rest of his life, and then girls are just either getting married for financial reasons, or
they want the wedding dress, they want the wedding cake, they want the limo, they want everybody to pay attention to them. I see that on these shows on TV are so crazy like that. The woman, it's just the wedding is the thing, and the relationships, they got a 50-50 shot. But I think a lot of women, you all are very conscious women in here. That's why you're in yoga. And out there in the world, especially in places, rural America, or where I'm from in the Midwest or whatever, the women are just they want that dress, everybody pay attention to me, my special day, and they're, bridezillas. They're arguing with the husband, it's horrible. They're okay with that because they get to be the princess, and that's also another problem. I think women are raised a lot of times you are a princess. Yeah. You are a princess. You have to find a guy, the dad will say, you have to find a man who sees you as a princess. And basically what you're saying is, you need to find a relationship where your ego can just run rampant and the guy has to take it. You can shove all of your crazy programming down his throat and the only thing he can do is go, yes, dear. You know, it's not fair. It's not right. It's not fair. So,
That is so true.
So the best thing that you guys can do is undertake spiritual practice, even together. And the Course in Miracles, you guys know the Course in Miracles? You should study A Course in Miracles some, and you should study Byron Katie, the work. And what those things say is, if something bothers you about another person, it's not about getting them to change. It's not. And that's going to lead to divorce eventually and conflict. It's always about you. It's always about you changing your own mind or changing your own attitude. And if you can learn to do that, you can learn to be happy under all circumstances, and that's true freedom. And you get that through a relationship. So, you know, and relationships, they bring it up even faster, right? But it's a completely different paradigm shift, because most women would say, wait a second, if he does something to piss me off, it's my problem? Yeah, they're like that. I don't think so. You know, drinks beer, watches football all weekend. That's my problem. You know, first of all, that's what is. That's what's happening. That's what's going on. So you can either accept it or not. But not accepting it and saying, you need to change in order for me to be happy, it's going to always suck for both partners. Eventually, the guy's just like, you know, fuck it. That's why Willie Nelson said, do you know why divorce is so expensive? Because it's worth it.
Well, I also think that you can
So breaking down that whole princess thing and breaking down expectations and this whole idea, and men can be that way too. Men can be like, she spends all my money. You know, and do I get sex? No. And guess what? I don't even want sex because, you know, she gained 45 pounds the first 2 years of our, you know, that wasn't part of the agreement. You know, so it's tough.
When I was 16, I lost my virginity to a guy. When I was 20, because he was from Ohio. When I was 20, I was basically forced. Yeah. Well, people from Ohio, it's like pretty much like California. Like really, really good luck.
Wait, on prom or something?
So, anyways, no, when we were dating. So at 20, we got married. You know?
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And so, just we moved to Texas together, and it was terrible. Oh my God.
Weird, completely
Just
weird.
And yeah, I did. I mean, I was just, you know, I was spending a lot of money, and I did gain a lot of weight, and it was terrible.
Terrible. And look at you now. You're in yoga training, and you're,
Yeah.
you know, healthy and
But
young.
I mean, I see a lot of people in the Midwest doing stuff like that.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say about why a guy would do that, because you'd say, if you're a young 22-year-old man who's nice looking, why would you, and knowing your program to want to be, and it might be something like this. He might come from a family where his mom and dad had stayed together, you know, and they might not have been happy, but he didn't see that. Maybe they stayed together. And his dad might have said, to be a man, you got to have a family. Stay with it. You know, that's it. That's all it took. And then now he thinks that at 22, he needs to, you know, make these decisions, which he doesn't know how he's going to feel in the next 40 years. And that's why people say marriage is tough. And kids, we don't know each other. At 22, God, you don't even know yourself at all, you know? Everybody should wait till they're 50 to get married, but then... So anyway, all I can say is these things are all a bit governed by the chakras and also belief systems. And belief systems I call programming. When I say programming, all right, maybe there's two types of programs. There's the pain-pleasure program, and that's not based on a belief system. You're not deciding, do I like pleasure more than pain? No, you're programmed to be that way. But there's other programs going on that are based on belief systems, and it might be a belief system like this. You know, a man and a woman should stay married the rest of their life. That's just a belief system. Or marriage is the secret to happiness. That's just a belief. You know, those are... and you've got to get past all of that to reality and get past your program and your belief systems and decide if you're going to live in love or you're going to blame other people. And it's a spiritual journey of a lifetime. And that's why I recommend things like the Work and the Course in Miracles, which are not part of yoga tradition. They're not part of India, the Vedas, and, you know. I mean, you can meditate. You can say, no, the yoga tradition is my spiritual practice. I can meditate. And then come out of it angry as hell, completely pissed off at your wife, you know? So there's other tools and teachings in our culture that we're lucky enough to have by the internet and this publishing of information, and that I think you're going to have to use everything you got. If you guys are going to be happy in marriage, it's going to take everything you got. Now, what's the statistics of percentage of women who are happy being married versus percentage of women who are happy being single? Single, slightly happier. Slightly happier. So don't think that marriage is going to, it's just slightly. It's like 1%. It's almost exactly the same. And what that proves is it's not whether you get married or not. It's basically, are you going to be happy or not? This guy in here wrote, I don't know if you read the chapter, but he said one of his spiritual teachers taught him that basically happiness was just based on a decision. I'm going to be happy. That's it. It's an inside job, and you can just decide it right now. You can just say, you know what, in life, I'm going to be happy. And then, you know, maybe you have bad stuff happen to you, but you just go, you know what, I'm going to go get some ice cream and skip down the street. I don't care. You know? Or do you know people who are just kind of hell-bent on being miserable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, well, don't get married to them. And a woman might have some programming like, I'm going to change this person. Right? That whole, you know, I'm going to be the savior here. I'm going to bring this darkness into the light. You know, and that's why some women, they love the guys with the tattoos, the bad boys. You know, we're going to make them change. And so there's an attraction there. You don't know what's happening. It's crazy. Everything is happening. It's a big, huge mystery of mishmash. That the only thing you have is your consciousness. What you have is your consciousness. That's all you need. It's all you need to be happy.
But another statistic says
Yeah.
single man is less happier than a married man.
I could kind of see that. Do you guys know, I see that on South Beach. I see that. I see the good-looking guy on South Beach. First of all, South Beach, if you're a good-looking guy, it's incredible because at least half the guys here are gay. So of the women population, half the guys aren't even interested in you guys. They want the other boys. So then for the heterosexual, good-looking guy down here, it's very easy to drop into the role of player. Right? Then you get hooked on the role of player because you get hooked on that adrenaline and the newness of it. You know, you love that excitement of the new sexual conquest. You get addicted to that. And then you see people getting divorced. You get older and you're scared. And so you never have kids, and then the guys get to be like 58 years old, and they're not so sexy anymore, you know. And it's a little sad. I think for them it is a little sad that they kind of look back and go, shit, why didn't I ever commit? Why didn't I ever try to find somebody, you know? Or they're rich and they start dating 20-year-olds, and they're fat and bald and just ridiculous looking, and they have like some, you know, hired hand on their arm. You know.
That's like me and my dad. Everyone always thinks I'm his girlfriend.
And that's a second chakra. That's just straightforward second chakra, isn't it? The sugar daddy?
Yeah.
That's just straight second chakra. I'll give you money, you give me sex. It's just a straight negotiation. Is it satisfying for a woman?
I feel like
Do you want to have sex with the old guy, with the old man who's unattractive? You want that? That's gross. I mean, they better be paying you a lot. That's just gross to even think about, right? I feel bad for those. If they have to, if you need money, God, if they don't have anything.
I think they give up on love though, and they're like, well, if I'm not going to find love, I might as well have money. Like, I know so many girls that have that attitude.
For a lot of people think that like money is how you get like buys and things like is love and like that's happiness. So like a lot of people are so oblivious that they have this shield over them.
Yeah.
As to like what it is to like be truly free and like be truly happy. They're like, oh, I'm meditating, I'm happy, but it's like they haven't really tapped into like what makes them happy, and it's like they almost settle.
Yeah.
with like being financially supported by a guy who couldn't get the money.
It's crazy.
And you're like, "What with it?"
And again, I always bring it back to this. Yoga, spiritual practice for each of you individually, regardless of who you're married to. That's the other one. Say you're married. I get this in the teacher training. I'm married and I love yoga. And my husband, I mean, he just watches porn and sports on TV, you know? Like, you know? I want him to come to yoga. So the wife wants the husband to conform to her spirituality, and that leads to, you know, da-da-da-da-da. So don't get like that either. You as yogis, that's what all of you guys are. You're yogis. You're not women who need a man. You know, you're yogis. You take it upon yourself to decide you're going to be happy and you're going to do spiritual practice, and then you will soon find yourself to be inspiring yoga teachers that people want to follow. That's what this training is all about. It's not about getting in real good shape so you can find that guy who's going to take it. It's not. Don't think that leads to happiness. Get that out of your head. So, and the true happiness that we want, it's always an inside job, and it's done by spiritually transcending your programming and conditioning and karma and belief systems and expectations of this world and the way things should be. You got to overcome all that shit. And then, you know, you got a chance at it.
I was going to say something going back to the throat chakra.
Yeah.
That we're talking about? No, the heart chakra.
Yeah, the heart chakra. We got stuck in the heart.
Of opening it, like just being in nature, I think is like one of the best ways to open your heart chakra. It's just that like unconditional love.
And hiking is first chakra too. Isn't hiking first chakra? Hiking's first. Walking up a mountain. I love being in nature and the trees around you. And then it's fourth chakra. You're breathing the air. Oh my God, I love it too. And then you've got this, you know, you do feel kind of, I love hiking in high altitude. I like to go to Aspen, Colorado and walk up trails that go to the top. I love that. Now I'm a person who lives at sea level. Under sea level, so that's my karma because my son is here and I can't leave him. You know, I have to play that role. But I feel so much more alive when it's not so muggy out there.
Yeah, I just went to Germany in July with my boyfriend, and we were doing a lot of hiking and mountain.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I never felt so good.
You feel energized, don't
It was
you?
amazing. Like you think like you're in higher altitude. You know, I've lived below sea level my whole life, but like I just felt so much energy, so alive, so much endurance. Like it was
Especially
amazing.
like once you get there, like I climbed Machu Picchu last summer.
Oh, you did? I love
And
Machu Picchu, yeah.
and like the whole thing, the trail, like all their whole things, it's like you were dying like on the way up because like the air is so thin, and like the steps are so big, and you're like, how do these people just like run up this?
Yeah.
But like once you get there and like you reconnect with your breath and you just like look over everything, you feel so alive and like so energetic.
You do. Machu Picchu is incredible. It's incredible. The idea that was built by people hauling rocks up. Hey, we're going to go in the other room and we're going to do the inversion workshop. In the other room right now.
But I just texted Amy and we said we would do it.
You're doing the handstand workshop.
Yeah.
This is all inversions of like shoulder stand with the blankets and all
Oh,
that.
that.
Yeah,
Cool.
that. So we're going in there right now, right?
Okay.
Okay.
But
All right.
maybe I was good for next time.